Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. In today's video I have a final installment of a welding technique I use while TIG welding. Using only single runs on pipes under 3 inches with a feathered edge prep and no gap. This technique will give you enough root reinforcement along with a proper cap which will get the job done 100% of the time. Bear in mind, I have only managed to do this while TIG welding, as it is very difficult to do with stick or MIG, and I've not managed to figure that out yet. I'm sure there's a way, but as you can see, I'm welding two 90-degree elbows together. If you weld pipe, then you know that two fittings take a little bit more heat to weld up. As you all know, that when I usually weld onto a fitting using the old one and done technique, I'm around 130 to 135 amps. But because these fittings are slightly thicker than the actual pipe, I've turned the welder up to around 145 amps. Everything is the same as before, using the same 2 to 5 second pause when starting to make sure the weld pull is going to let me push the root through just enough to make a nice bead on the inside.
Oh my god! Wow!
If you don't push any harder than you would onto a pipe onto the fitting, if you do, then you're probably not getting through, and the filler wire is just building up on the outside and giving you lack of fusion on the inside or no fusion whatsoever. If you feel like the wire isn't getting through when you start to move, stop and start again slightly in front of where you just started, and just do the first step again, only this time just wait 2 to 3 seconds and no more, as the fitting will already be hot, and any more than that you will struggle to keep the puddle, leaving you with an excessive root reinforcement and a concave cap, which isn't good to anybody, especially when you want to do this in one run. You've just got to remember to take your time. If you feel like it's too hot, you can turn it down. These settings are definitely not set in stone, and this is just how I do it. You can do it on lower settings, but I'm a hot and fast welder. I don't know if that's just how I like to do it or that's just how it needs to be, but I know you can definitely do it on lower settings. I've managed to do it on lower settings before. And don't get me wrong, going slower is easier when you're learning this, because you can see what's going on with the weld pull, and you can see definitely if you're pushing it through, and you can feel it a lot better and you're not rushing to try and keep up with it. So if you need to turn it down to try it again, just turn it down and give it a go. I did feel like showing you how to do this on two fittings would be a good little exercise for you to try as well, because you get a nice little open part on half of the pipe, and then you've got a little slight bit of restriction on the inside of the elbows when you're coming into it with where your hand is, and then on the other side where you sort of have to angle the torch a little bit different to get it in. It's not too different than before. You just gotta, like I said before, you just gotta take your time, keep watching that puddle, making sure that nothing goes wrong, and just keep pushing away at it. You might find it is not going through to begin with when you first try this, but it definitely works. I do it all the time. I'm doing it here. It is hard to see. I couldn't get a picture to show you the inside because of just where I've got pipes coming off it and things like that. But it's just the same as welding onto a pipe and a fitting. Just make sure you take your time. I can't stress that enough. I know I've said it a lot of time, but with TIG welding, it's not all about going as fast as you can. I know that's me probably being a little bit stupid saying that, because that's the way I do it. But I've done it for long enough now, and I'm not just starting out, so I know how to do it and I know exactly what I'm looking for, and it's all, I've got the muscle memory there, so I could probably do it with my eyes closed. Probably shouldn't have said that, because some people might want to see that, and I don't really want to do it and make a fool of myself.
No, God!
I know there's a lot of welding keyboard inspectors out there that's going to be smashing away on their keyboards or their phone screen, whacking their head off the table. Telling me this is not okay, you can't do that, that's not allowed. Listen, I really do not care what you say. I've had welds like this tested all the time. They've been MPI, dye penned and ultrasound usually. I've had a few before that have been x-rayed and they've all came out perfectly fine. I haven't had to redo them. They've all passed, which actually did surprise me, and you probably won't believe it, but there it is. I've done it. In the last video, I did want to come up with a name for this technique, and I didn't get much response out, but the few that did respond, I decided to go with Chris Grant's submission. He had a good one. It was called The Old One and Done. You heard me say that earlier on. Chris, if you get back to me on Instagram, I've left the link down in the description. You can click on it there, or you can go search me at AJG Welding, and I can get those stickers sent right out to you. I'm also going to send my friend Vince Main, who put on there the penetrator. I thought that was a good one, and I've done quite a bit of work for him. He's a cool guy. He does a lot of boiler room things and things like that, and he's a great guy, so I think I'll send him some out as well. Not only that, I couldn't really choose between the two, but I think the Old One and Done is a little bit more explained, so you don't have to explain it anymore, and the penetrator, well, if you're not penetrating, you ain't welding, boy. So now this just leaves me to weld up the flanges. As you can see, I've put them on already, and I'm going to be MIG welding them, just making sure everything's level before I go ahead and weld it, make sure the flanges are on right. MIG welding flanges isn't as hard as you think. It's actually easier than TIGging it, I believe. It's a lot quicker, and I don't need to TIG these anyway, hence why I'm MIG welding them. It's also very good practice. It goes without saying, just keep, when you're welding everything, make sure you keep an eye on all the levels, because if you do need to pull it in one way, you can always go ahead and reheat the backside of the weld to where it needs to go, and it will pull back. You don't need to weld it, you just do a nice little dry run and it'll pull anything back that's come out of shape or out of level. And yeah, so I've just finished up tacking the flanges, and I'm going to go on and MIG weld them. It's very self-explanatory. I run quite hot. I can't actually remember what my settings were on this. I wasn't actually looking, I just went with it, and it was still set up from the time before, and it came out pretty well, I think. And that's pretty much all I have to say on this video. I just want to thank you all for all of your support recently while I've been making the videos, everybody watching them, everybody commenting. It's been wonderful. If you don't already, go give me a follow on Instagram at AJG Welding. The link is in the description. I usually only post TIG welding videos and TIG welding tips, things like that. It's not a personal account, it is literally down to welding. It'd be good to hear off anyone if there's any specific thing you would like me to cover in future videos, as I feel like I am sort of making the same sort of content all the time, and I'd quite like to get you lot involved and see what else you would like me to make or show you or anything like that. Just let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does help the channel more than you might think. That one little action, little comment, a little like, it does help my videos go a little bit further, and it will help other people along the way maybe learn a new technique or even get into welding. It might help them pass a course or anything like that. So thank you again for watching. I'll leave you with a little bit of music and then I'm gone. Thank you again.